Hey guys, how you doing? This is Terragaze here. I basically just wanted to kind of like talk about Identity V real quick. I had a few things that I was playing a lot of games last night, and a few of my friends we were kind of running in some walls and some stuff that we kind of derailed us from our gameplay. Kind of pushed us away from the game just a bit. But it's nothing we're gonna work through. Obviously, every game has their kinks, right? So I basically want to look at two important factors in this game. Arguably, probably one of the more important factors of the game. That's basically pallets and chairs. So that's basically what this video is going to be on. But without further ado, I'll go ahead and get on into this. So I'll see you there, all right? Right, so pallets. So basically the setup's going to be for this real quick because I'm basically going to go through killer's thoughts on whatever I'm talking about, then I'm going to go through what the survivor's thoughts, and then finally I'm going to come to my own thoughts and opinions and how I feel about it, looking kind of from both sides. So basically I'm going to look at the hunter's opinions first. So basically, if I was a hunter, I'd have absolutely no reason to respect or even fear pallets in this game. You can either have one of three things happen, right? You can either A, swing at the survivor before they drop the pallet, and you'll hit them. You can either B, hit the player as they drop the pallet and still hit them. Or C, you can swing after the player has dropped the pallet and still actually hit them and potentially not even suffering from a stun. And that's kind of like, I feel like the most important thing when it comes to pallet is still receiving that stun. So you can damage them and then also giving up a free pallet after if you get the third scenario, which is honestly really, really good in net. So the survivors are going to be a little bit longer just because it's kind of a more important tool to the survivor. So basically, if I was a survivor, I honestly simply would just not use these. The only justifiable reason to really use these is to save somebody who might be put into a chair or in risk of being put in a chair. So maybe you can cut the killer off, drop the pallet on them, and make them drop the survivor. Maybe giving the edge in the match. However, there's just so many more safe options like a lasso, a flare gun, and I'd honestly even take a flashlight. It's a little bit more reliable than the pallet. Not to mention the few times, and when I say few, I mean really few times, that you land the pallet, most of the time the killer teleports over on your side or phases through it and is stunned on that side, which is nice that he's stunned, but now he's on your side. So it's going to force you to have the option of, you're going to jump over that pallet to create that distance, but now you've wasted time vaulting that pallet, which could have been time that you could have been using running. And there's also a third option as well, which is probably the one that I use the most, and that would be dropping the pallet before the survivor or the killer even gets there. And that's what I would use more likely. However, when doing this, it's still kind of a double-edged sword because when you drop the pallet before they get there, that means you have distance between you and the killer. That means that they can map the most optimal path to you, and you've now also wasted a pallet, right? So I find that, kind of frustrating that like even using that out is not good. And yeah, you can loop around the pallet, but this video is going to focus on the simple application of the pallet and the chairs, not so much, strategies you can use around it, right? Okay, lastly, we're going to go over my overall thoughts of the palette. So basically, if I could fix the game, how would I do it? Well, first things first, we're going to go ahead and reduce the amount of pallets on the map. I know that sounds like a nerf. However, we're going to increase the hitbox to actually be able to stun these killers. Because simply put, unless you're dead center of the pallet, when it's dropped, you're not going to get stunned. Completing your attack and still hitting the target. I've been killer many times, and I've had this happen to me, and I've done it to people. So it's definitely something that I think we need to look at because it's kind of giving people some free hits, and that can be super frustrating on both sides. Finally, we can remove the ability to hit over pallets. Hitting someone who is slow to a pallet is absolutely fine. If you didn't make it to that pallet and you got hit, that is your fault. You are hit. However, if you're going to hit somebody blatantly when there's a pallet or any barrier really between you and said killer, besides a window, windows are another beast of its own, which I'm actually okay with windows right now. Maybe it's actually, I would say windows are more busted for the survivors. But basically hitting somebody when there's an object in the way, like a pallet specifically, it just removes a huge benefit for the survivors, and it's honestly bonkers in my opinion. The survivors who are already limited to what they can do defensively to the hunter. Last but certainly not least, this will also add competitive nature to the game, mapping where the pallets are so when you're running as a survivor, choosing the right paths to go, and honestly forcing the killer to use their noodle a little bit instead of becoming like a mouse one simulator. So that's kind of where I'm at with the pallets right now, and I definitely have some more, thinking and tinkering to do with all that, but that's just my, hot take on them at the moment. So we're going to go ahead and move on to chairs, right? So basically the same setup here. We're going to go ahead into the chairs here, and so if I was a hunter, this is what I would think of chairs. Honestly, there's plenty around the map, so there's no real pressure to me securing a survivor to a chair, so I can kind of down them anyway, it won't really matter. Even if my chair is broken, I can drop the player, I can repair the chair, and then I can place them in it just as normal. So Gardener is honestly freelo. Finally, the timers are so short for me that I can face camp them and earn me ample opportunity to kill the rest of them before they can power any gate. And I can also Terror Shock and insta-down anyone coming to save them, so this is a surefied strategy. Right. So obviously I'm being a little facetious there and making it seem a lot worse than what it is. But I'm going to be honest, 90% of the games that I play end with somebody face camping, be it that we win or that we lose. Either or, people back it as a strategy, and that's fine. It's totally a strategy, and they get rewarded for it. They get 12k games because they face camped and downed everybody. But we're going to definitely be addressing that later on in the video. So we'll go ahead and move on to what I would think if I was a survivor, right? I think it's kind of funny how in the retrospect the chair is actually shorter for the survivor than vice versa on the pallets. So basically, if I was a survivor, what I would think is, honestly, I should not get put in a chair, or my game is simply put over. If someone is in a chair, I shouldn't rescue them because I need a cipher rush so that we can hopefully either win or tie the game. And finally, the gardener's flavor text should be changed to fodder intensifies. So look, obviously I'm being a little exaggerant, but I'm just going through what my player thoughts are if I'm playing the game, or maybe if I'm new to the game. So lastly, we'll go ahead and go to chair thoughts. So look guys, I really think we need invincibility frames. First and foremost, it is absolutely heartbreaking. That is the only word I can use to describe when somebody is face camping and you have someone on your team, and bless this person, who actually stops what they're doing and come to get you out of the chair. And the second your feet touches the ground, you are down immediately. I really think there's no counterplay to that. You're not even in control of your character model and you're already going down again and put in the same chair to be killed or even left to die. I think the timer just needs to be tweaked. I'm not saying you have to add 5 minutes before you die. That's absolutely ridiculous. But even a 10-second bump from stage 1 to stage 2, and specifically stage 1, because you want to get that, when you're going to stage 1, that should be honestly the slowest increment of time, because once you hit stage 2, the next time you're hooked, you're down. You're in stage 2, death mode. That would be amazing. And if you guys are encouraging the camping playstyle, I'm talking about the creators really, because there's abilities that give you bonuses and stuff like that for doing such things, that they need to put countermeasures in place, or this is going to have people put the game down. I know it's been on my mind for a while, and I played a lot of Dead by Daylight even early on, and I've seen that happen as well through videos and gameplay. They lost a lot of their player base. They eventually brought them back by balancing out a little bit more, but you should see some of the loops in that game early on. Back in like 2016, they were absolutely hysterical, and that's kind of what we're running into here. So I'm hoping we can kind of learn from their mistakes and maybe do it differently, or maybe even a little bit better. I'm not quite sure, but we'll go ahead and see what we have in blind here. So basically, in conclusion, you guys have an awesome game, but they're honestly the biggest game-breaking things right now is both the chairs and the pallets for me personally, and I feel like some other people might agree with me. They should be definitely moved to priority 1, plain and simple. Players on both sides need to be compensated. Mistreating one can easily cost you the game. Anywho, I appreciate you guys listening this far and hearing what I have to say. If you like the content, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And my current subscribers, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and get out of your hair, and as always, you have a wonderful evening. Bye!